All right, good Friday morning. Today's Friday, June 6th, 2025, and this is your Friday safety meeting. My name is Dennis Davis. I work in the safety department. With me is John Harden, also in the safety department. We are here, we're running a kind of a skeleton crew in the safety department. It's vacation time. We'll talk about the TDC. We've got a few folks out doing that. So, we're here. We're bringing you this meeting. We're going to do this meeting only 51 Fridays this year. July 4th falls right on a Friday, so we'll probably get the opportunity to take that day off, John.
I didn't realize that.
DMVs to get permits and driver's license. So there's a ton of apparel out on the road, both on the interstate and in your local communities. And of course, in trucking, there's really only two seasons. There's winter, which thank God winter is over with, and now we're in construction season. So you'll see a lot of that, your tax dollars at work and a lot of different areas. So we are live here in Springfield, Missouri. We are simulcasting live to our other terminals in Pittston, Pennsylvania, and in Salt Lake City, Utah. We'll go to those folks here in just a minute. But of course, at all of our locations, an important part of what Robert feels like a good part of this culture is breakfast is free when you come to these safety meetings. So if you haven't placed your order yet, jump in line, place your order. Doesn't look like the line's too long over there here in Springfield, Missouri. So we want to always say thank you to the folks that are helping us out. So John Blansett and his team at each of our locations, if you guys would give them a round of applause. Thank you for feeding us hungry trucking professionals. All right, so with these meetings, we'd like to jump right into the speakers. I think I see both Kobe and Rachel over there. We always like to get it started out with a health tip. That's the most important thing that we're going to talk about today is to make sure you take care of you. Good morning, Kobe and Rachel.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having us. So again, Colby with Driver Health and Fitness, Rachel, our dietitian. We always every week we try to give a health tip. This Friday seems a little different because it's raining here quite a bit. So it actually fits in with what we're talking about because I want to talk about hydration and those kinds of things, the importance of hydration, how to hydrate when it gets hot out there.
Yeah, so it's not that hot today, but at least here in Springfield. But in general, we're definitely getting into the hot weather. So I wanted to talk about how to hydrate without maybe just drinking water. So one of the things that you can think about is the foods that are pretty hydrating so that it can help to minimize stops like bathroom breaks. So like foods that are going to be high are your fruits and veggies. So if you think about like cucumber, watermelon, cantaloupe, pineapple too. A lot of times those are in the Loves truck stops. So tomatoes are really high, just as high as cucumber. Another one is leafy greens. So like lettuce, spinach, those are really high. And like there are a good amount of truck stops that do have those options. So that's pretty cool. Or if you're going grocery shopping, that helps out.
So we always talk about too, and I love when you talk to drivers about is you're talking about things that can hydrate. Are there things that could be dehydrated? Not necessarily foods, but are there things that we may consume or the ways we consume them that may dehydrate or take away water?
So if you are drinking something that does have sugar in it, like you're creating a blood sugar spike, your body, one of the ways that our body regulates those blood sugar spikes is to pee more. So that is going to be dehydrating. So trying to think about like how often am I drinking, like teas, juice, sodas, energy drinks with calories, with sugar, that is going to be a little bit dehydrating. So you got to try to think about that and help to balance it out. And there are some things to add to your water if you feel like you're not getting hydrated just from water. So you can add electrolytes in. The Bai drinks, Body Armor Lights. There's a lot of packets that do this too, like the Great Value Hydrate packets. That's a good one. It's pretty available at Walmart's. So yeah, just different ways to hydrate without adding in sugar.
That's what I said. That's what I hear you talk about a lot is the hydration things and those kinds of things, electrolytes, but the sugar, watch the sugar, right? Because that kind of counteracts what you're just talking about.
Yeah,
right?
And one other thing, if you're looking for kind of a goal on how much should I look for on hydrating, like what are my ounces amount? If you take your ideal body weight, like a weight where you feel comfortable at, and then divide it in half. That's a really good starting point to aim for on ounces of water. Or you can go off of your urine color chart. So it's up there, and you can Google a urine color chart. But basically, if you're like in the first 2 stages, you are hydrated. Once you start to get past that and your urine is a little bit darker, you're not hydrated. So that's more personalized.
Well, and I think, and that's really nice, like to have the ability to kind of assess as you go, right? Kind of thing we're talking about. I also think the really important to talk about is benefits of it, right? It plays a role. Hydration plays a role in so many things, right? We're talking about blood pressure issues, obviously your blood sugar issues, stuff like that. But it's not always just the general, it's like, oh, the cramps, the spasms, the muscle performance. Like it generally comes down to the function of your body is the water, how necessary water is, right?
Mental function, a lot. Like if you're dehydrated, you will notice it first in like cognitive function.
Yeah, and I think that's what we never want to miss on, right? So I think that's really important. One other thing, you want to have anything else about hydration? One other thing we were talking about with the Highway Diamonds, we're doing the Highway Diamonds kind of fitness challenge, and I want to update on that. FCDs here, so which is awesome. And I wrote a couple things down just to think about. We started it this week, right? So we started June 1st. Already, we've had 45 activities logged. Give a round of applause for that. That means we've had females literally log all different kinds of physical activities. And again, sometimes it's getting out of the truck, walking, hula hooping, which I've seen some videos. It's so fun. All different kinds of stuff. Meals, they've actually cooked 13 meals as a group so far, not together, but I mean, that's a big thing. And I don't want to lose sight of that because Rachel, you and I talk about this a lot. And I just told you, and I had a question, and just full transparency, is like 13 meals? Is that very good? And you're like, that's incredible, actually. And I'm like, okay.
There's a lot of people who don't cook in their truck. So yeah, looking at how that happens. And a lot of our female drivers are team drivers too. So it's pretty cool to see like, even if you're teaming or training, you can do this.
Yeah, that's amazing. Last thing is audiobooks. We have 8 audiobooks that we've completed, that they have completed. Some different women have. So that's awesome. I want to keep updating as we do those things. We also, last thing, we have our Fit in 15 that we're going to, this summer edition, right, that we're going to do coming up 16th. We're going to start the 16th.
Yeah,
right?
the 16th opens.
So keep an eye out for that on our socials. We'll send it out. That's going to be an 8-week kind of push, some fun we're going to do. So keep your eye out for that. Any questions for us on hydration or anything? Or D, I got the microphone. You need it? You want it? Yeah, come on. That's it. This challenge is going awesome.
I just want to say to all the women who have been participating in the fitness challenge, good job. Like if you are not on the Prime Highway Diamond support page and entering into this challenge, guys, the only competition is you. You're really missing out on so much activity. Like they're doing everything. Like it is so fun. And I am making sure that I post something every single day, y'all. I do not work out. Do you hear what I'm saying? I walk. But lately,
That's a workout. Don't kid yourself.
Right, but
Stop.
because of this challenge, though, it's made me want to do other things. So I've shown videos with me at my kitchen counter doing push-ups off my kitchen counter, doing squats, doing leg lifts, just the simplest things. The whole point of this is to just be consistent in movement. Little small changes really do make a difference. And I'm also recommending that our women read the book Atomic Habits, where it teaches you how to be consistent. So great job to all the women who have been participating. Keep posting pictures, keep posting videos. And we're going to continue this all the way up until the company picnic.
That's right. There you go. All right. Anybody got any questions? D, I appreciate that. Yeah, we got one right here.
What do you think about the vibration
Go ahead,
plate?
right there.
What do you think about the vibration plate?
Good question. So, I mean, it's more better for circulation and things like that too. So obviously that'd be good, really good for neuropathy, those kinds of situations. It's obviously better than sitting down and not moving at all. I wouldn't necessarily use it for calorie burn specifically. But at the same time, like because again, we want more movement, but it's definitely good for circulation, help with blood flow. So definitely on lower extremity. Good question. Yeah.
We out here in Salt Lake City, we got a question for you.
Yeah.
Hey, Colby, how do we
Hey.
log it on the apps and that for things?
Yeah. So the Highway Diamonds one.
Yes.
Yeah, the Highway Diamonds, we created a link that goes to our website. You can't access it on the website, it's on the back end. but it's on there. I can repost it so it moves it to the top if that helps. D, I can maybe say, okay, yeah. So D's going to put it up there on the Highway Diamonds support group, and then it'll be on there. You just click that link and log. It's got activity, food, meals you prepped. It's got audiobooks, books, all that kind of stuff. There's a form on there. So let me know if you don't find it. Okay. Awesome.
Great,
Thanks,
thank
D.
you.
Yeah. All right.
All right, thanks, Kobe. Thanks, Rachel. Dennis be tripping. What we got next?
All right. Are you all right? I thought you almost fell there.
I did, but I'm okay.
All right. Well, let's take the focus off of us. Let's go out east and let's talk to the folks out in Pittston this morning. So,
All right.
let's go to Pittston. We got Rick out there this morning, and Richard. Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, when you're walking there, Dennis, it's heel to toe.
You just couldn't let it pass, could you?
Yeah, I'll stop right there. Hey, great class this week we had, and fantastic guys coming in and gals too. They're down the pad doing their pre-trips and working like crazy to get those CDLs. But one thing I want to talk about is Dennis expanded on it a little bit this morning, is just that extra traffic in the summertime. Not only are you going to have extra traffic on the highway, but once you get in those inner cities, you're going to have extra foot traffic. People walking around and doing their vacation things and kids running around. You got to have your head on a swivel, keep your eyes moving, and just watch out for everybody. The balls running out or rolling out on the road or anything like that. Just pay attention. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Rick. Richard, you got something you want to share with us?
It was, and Richard asked me if this week was a big week for me. I guess his mic is off, but it was.
Yeah, so 30 years for Rick Ifford here at Prime. If we could give him a round of applause, please.
Thank you everybody for that. But it's a group effort. Everybody has their hand in everybody's longevity. Just the friendship and the camaraderie helps a lot. And it's just not me that had 30 years this week or last week, but I think it was last month, Lisa Lakachko had her 30 years. So kudos to her also.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate what you do, Rick. We do have a couple of things that are going on here in the terminal. Next week, we actually have construction that is going on down at the training pad. So for all instructors that are out there, or anyone that is going to be coming into the pad and looking to get tested out, you will see that construction going on. And we're going to try and put up some signage to make sure you guys understand where to go down there. We're going to be resealing and repainting the pad down there. They're going to start with some repairs that need to happen on the asphalt as well. So just be mindful of that as you start to go in there. Look around, make sure you see where you need to go, what's going on with that. And I'll also be putting out some stuff on social media and getting some messages sent out to the trucks that are in the area for instructors that should be heading back in here this direction. But aside from that, we have some other big construction on through the rest of this year. For those of you that don't know, we're going to be adding on to that building that's at the training pad, and it's going to be expanded to the north side of the pad. So with that, we're going to be getting a pedigree office down there where some of our associates are going to be working to sell that equipment that's down there. And we're also going to be putting in some showers for you guys, so you don't have to come up here to the terminal to shower. You can do it down there, and we'll also have laundry put in down there. So some really good amenities for you guys that are down there working at the pad so that you can take care of your stuff while you're down there, maybe in between training sessions and things like that. Aside from that, I don't have anything else.
All right. Thanks, Rick. Thanks, Richard. Appreciate what you guys bring. If anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, don't hesitate to step to the microphone. And, Rick, just because you made fun of me because somebody grabbed my foot when I was walking up here, I'll tell you this, 30 years ago, I had just completed my sophomore year in high school. So we appreciate your 30 years of service here to Prime. So, all right, let's go out west, Salt Lake City. I think we got no Jonathan Grice today. I think we got Justin Walker. Good morning, Justin.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Wow. We have some great things going on here at the terminal this weekend. This week was a great week as well. The trailer yard's going to be a little bit packed just because of the event we're having this week. The truck driving championship for Utah is held on site. And with that, we have our Utah truck driving championship team here. We have Anthony Eck, Roy Romo, Buddy Gray, Crystal Donaldson, and Ben Walker here, all representing Prime for the state of Utah out here. I did some math this morning, and with these 5 people, we have over 57 years of safe driving out there with millions of miles. We couldn't do our job without you guys and your safe driving. We appreciate everything you do out there. We also appreciate the support staff that's been out here this week, helping them prepare and study and practice. The wives, the support class, actually, Heidi Eck has deemed a new class out there for the truck driving championship is a supportive class. So we appreciate everything that you guys are doing. We thank you for being here this week. You were representing Prime for us here in Utah. So thank you, guys.
Thank you guys so much. Don't go too far. Justin, I want you to give Anthony Eck that microphone. And Anthony, you're going to have to speak on behalf of 2 teams. You guys are representing Prime in the state of Utah, the truck at the state level. And, you know, Robert and Daryl were so gracious to allow Prime to host that one. The one here in Missouri, the folks are down with Dave White and his crew at Branson. They got started at 7 a.m. this morning with the written test and the pre-trip, so they're probably not tuned in. So Anthony, you're going to have to speak on their behalf this morning. Tell us a little bit about what goes into, you know, preparation for an event like this for you and your teammates.
Well, it starts with getting everybody in on Sunday. Monday morning, Monday afternoon, we meet up and we start study session. There's a book the ATA puts out. It's called Facts for Drivers. We have a study guide that we go through. We do a written exam for the actual event. So we take 5 tests through our study class, and Tuesday morning we all meet outside. Roy here helped me set up a course this year, and Danny, he's one of the volunteers this year. He helped set up our pre-trips. We spend Monday studying, Tuesday studying, and then Tuesday and Wednesday out on the course, working the course.
You know, so it's not just jumping in the truck and trying to navigate some type of obstacle course. It's the cerebral part of it that makes a big portion of it, right?
Right. Taking the study guide is a good portion of your score, along with doing the pre-trip and the driving. You got to be able to do all 3 in order to bring home some trophies.
You know, and this is a rain or shine event. Hopefully the weather is cooperating with you guys out there. The one here in Missouri, luckily for those guys, it's indoors down at the convention center in Branson because it's pouring down rain here in Southwest Missouri. So Anthony and your team, and of course this is for our folks down in Branson as well. Good luck to you. Go bring home some hardware, man. We're really excited to hear about some of the great things that you guys are going to do over the next couple of days.
Thank you guys, and good luck to our Missouri team.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, let's give them all a round of applause. Pretty cool deal there. You know, we had our send-off dinner here, not last night, but the night before, send those guys off to Branson. And it was a small group, intimate group, but it was so important for us to get those type of things done. You know, we don't always advertise some of those things that we do, but it's important that, you know, those participants, these folks that won here at our local contest, got to bring their family in, got to sit, have dinner. You know, they got their official team shirts at that point. It was really cool event, John.
So one thing that I wanted to bring up, and I'll let you talk about it a little bit, you know, if you're new here to Prime or you haven't been around the truck driving championship before, you know, you heard Justin introduce the team and all the millions of safe miles and years of experience here at Prime. Can you only be on this team if you've been at Prime for a certain number of years?
So to compete at the state level, you got to be 12 months at Prime. But, you know, if you can participate in our local one that's actually, ironically, coming up here at the end of summer during the Labor Day holiday weekend, during the company picnic, anybody with a CDL that works for Prime. So you could pass the CDL exam on that Thursday and then compete on that Friday night at the local Prime event.
Well, I wanted to make sure you bring that up because that's a great competition that we have at the end of the summer out here. It's a lot of fun since I started being involved with it, moving into the safety department. So we always encourage everybody, we want as many participants out there as we can possibly get. It's a great event.
Sure, Keith.
And the state competition isn't the end if you're a winner, correct?
State competition is not the end for our folks that, fingers crossed, and are going down there and kick some butt this weekend in Branson and in Salt Lake City. There's a national championship down at the end of the summer. I think it's in August, right before our event in September. So if you ever have any questions about the truck driving championship, the driver advisory board is a good resource, or anybody in the safety department can get you pointed in the right direction. So, I do see a couple neon vests out in the crowd. That means we've got some new folks here. So at each of our locations, Pittston, Salt Lake, and in here in Springfield, if you are new to Prime, this is your first week, no matter what your C class is, if you would stand for just a moment to give us an opportunity to welcome you to the team. Let's give these folks a round of applause. We really appreciate you being here. We really appreciate what you do. You guys can have a seat. You guys had some decisions to make. You guys obviously have great records, great driving records, great work history. So you probably had your pick of trucking companies that you wanted to come to, and you probably did some research on us as we did some research on you, and you chose Prime, and we're glad you did. I truly believe that this is a destination company. We do some training too, John, but I do believe that this is a destination company. We get folks that call and talk to us every single week about, what do I need to do to get to Prime? Well, looking at your driving record, you got some things are going to have to fall off. Looking at your work history, man, we want folks with good, solid work history coming in so that we can create these good, solid drivers, these million-mile drivers, these folks that are competing at the state and national level on a year-to-year basis.
I'm going to 100% agree with you. I'm going to add on to that. As far as being a destination company to work for, couldn't agree more. And these badges that you guys get whenever you come in to Prime will get you in any door here at Prime. So we encourage you to come in. I talked to a lot of drivers. Dennis and I were both former fleet managers a few years back here at Prime. And I know Dennis has had the same conversations whenever we would have somebody come in from another carrier. And, they couldn't believe that they could just come right up to our desk, talk to their fleet manager, talk to their payroll associate, get to know their road assist advisor. But we highly encourage that, because those are the lifelines of your business here at Prime. So build those relationships, come in, let's put a name with a face, or a face with a name, sorry, I said that backwards, and reach out to those associates, because those are truly the folks that you need to lean on whenever you have questions about your business. So you're going to learn a lot during your training portion of your time here at Prime. If you're coming in, you get your CDL. If you come in, with a CDL and not a lot of experience, and you go out with a trainer, those are invaluable miles that you can learn from somebody who, we've qualified at Prime to train. So take advantage of those situations, meet people around the terminal. Everybody's here to help. If you're not successful, the company's not successful. So that's everybody's goal here.
Sounds good. Hey, looking at the clock, we better keep it rolling. So, hey, let's get our next speaker up. I'm going to ask Jeff Chisholm from our Cargo Claims Department to come up. We've talked about making sure you keep yourself healthy. We've thrown some safety tidbits for keeping you safe, but now we want to talk about how do we, really kind of close that gap on customer service and make sure that that product, that food, those pharmaceutical drugs, whatever it is, from start to finish, that we do it the right way. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, everybody. Sorry, I kind of lose my voice due to allergies. Hey, my name is Jeff Chisholm. I'm in the Cargo Claims Department. Everybody here plays a critical role in making sure our freight's delivered on time and in good condition. Even small mistakes can cost us money, time, customer confidence. So I just want to quickly talk about some best practices, try to keep you guys claim-free, try to keep us claim-free. And I just want to start with checking our bills of lading. On our reefer side, guys, it is absolutely critical to check the bills carefully at loading and verify what temperature that we need to run the load at. I would ask everyone to please circle the temp on your bill of lading. you know, I know we have a process, we have a live dispatch process, we scan the bills in. You know, we're not just trying to create extra work. I mean, it's a purposeful process. And it's something we've had to create over, you know, time because we've had these claims. So, you know, please circle your temp on your bills, you know, talk to your live loaded person. Let's make sure that we're running the load at the right temp. One lost load because we've ran the wrong temp is just one too many. I would also ask everybody, as we're rolling into summertime, the temps are getting hot, you know, please check your reefers carefully, you know, pre-trip them, pre-cool them, make sure we got good working reefers. Make sure your chutes are intact. Make sure we have clean trailers. If anyone has a trailer that is hauled meat or poultry, it is imperative to get it washed out. If we deliver that and there's any blood found on the floor, our customer is going to refuse that next load. I also want to encourage everyone to secure their loads properly. And our big issues with produce. You know, I don't know of any customer that we have that does not allow us to secure our produce loads. So I want to encourage everyone to use a minimum of 2 load locks, and I would even encourage 3. We have some customers like Master Nardi who ask us to put 3 load locks in their product. Just, you know, some of these produce loads, you know, they're lightly shrink wrapped, they're stacked, they're kind of moist boxes. They just don't hold up as well. We really need to kind of take that extra step to secure them. Another thing, once we deliver the product, I'm asking everybody to please look over your bills carefully. Please report every OS&D, any shortage, any damage, any overage to our claims department. We have to report those to our customers, and if we don't report them, we can be penalized. Also, look in your trailer and make sure it's empty. Regardless of what your bills say, please make sure the trailer is empty. I get a lot of comments on that, but I can tell you that we shut a reefer off yesterday with 673 cases of ice cream. So about 4 hours later, the ice cream wasn't very good condition. So, you know, we've got to check our trailers, we got to check our bills, make sure and protect yourself out there. Given the weather and how bad it's kind of been with all this rain, I do want to kind of shout out to our flatbed teammates. You know, please, you know, check your loads carefully. Make sure we're not loading in the rain. Make sure everything's dry. Make sure your tarps are in good condition. No holes in them. If we need plastic, please install plastic on the load before you tarp it. Same thing in or out. Just watch it carefully. Make sure everything stays together. And same thing at the receiver. Please do not ever untarp in the rain. If you have a receiver trying to get you to do that or asking you to untarp in the rain, call your fleet manager before doing it, because we will be liable to our customer, and we want to make sure their product is properly protected. So, sorry, I keep losing my voice here, so I'm going to kind of wrap this up. Does anyone have any questions for cargo claims before I step out? Anything? All right, guys, appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
All right, let's give them a round of applause. Thanks, Jeff. You know, I listened to a lot of the conversations that Jeff and his team have. They sit right next to us in the safety department, and it kind of triggered some thought process with me. You know, we did some surveys here recently, and one of the buzzwords that we got a lot was micromanagement. You know, Prime's micromanaging us, and you know, it just kind of brings back the little things that, like Jeff talks about. Man, we really need you to make sure that we keep seal integrity, make sure that we're putting locks on trailers, the little things that, you know, the customers want from us. And it kind of transitions well to our next speaker from our sales department. You know, check those bills of ladings, because John and I know we both worked nights a long time ago, and our eyes were a lot better back then. But Shelbyville, Tennessee and Shelbyville, Indiana look exactly the same on a bill of lading at 2 a.m. after a full shift, okay? And it'd be a shame that we don't do that proper live loaded call. We don't scan those bills in. We don't do our job on this end to protect customer service, to make sure that we get those things done. Make sure that we don't take those shortcuts, because the one time you don't get inside of that trailer, sweep it out and walk it, you realize that there's 600 cases of ice cream in there. Boy, it sure be bad to show up at a truck wash or even the next shipper with some claim product in there. So we're just doing our part to protect the integrity of customer service. So with that being said, I'm actually Ryan Summers from our sales department. You know, our sales guys don't get a lot of face time with our drivers. So we've gotten a ton of requests to get you guys up here, let them ask you a zillion questions or whatever the case may be. Man, we need some more freight. In fact, with the freight we have, we just need you to raise the rate. You know, but we as consumers, we don't want to pay for that. So good morning, Ryan.
Good morning. Happy Friday, albeit a wet one. You know, first of all, thanks for being here and thanks for what you do, the sacrifice you make. We appreciate that. We wouldn't be here without you. You know, just in general, a little bit about business. You know, the marketplace right now, it's no surprise that things have been slower than we would like for the past couple of years, really. So I think we feel like the worst is behind us on that, and that we're on a slow, steady incline. So we'll just have to see. But one of the things that goes along with that competition that it's been pretty fierce during this downturn is that service becomes a focal point for all of our clients. You know, price, service, those two things go hand in hand. And that's really how we distinguish ourselves here at Prime, is the level of service that we provide and that we advertise that we're going to provide. And so it's critical, that piece, that we do everything we can. That means trip planning, look at the pre-plan when it's sent out to you, see if it's, you know, if the project is attainable, if you can do it, if you have the hours. If you don't, then, you know, speak up sooner versus later, please, because we need to make an alternate plan. You know, hand in hand with that service thing is what starts the service for most of our clients, really, is a clean working trailer. So it's important that when we show up to a shipper to drop a trailer, that we do so with one that's clean and that will pass a pre-trip. You know, it's got decent tires on it. It's not going to be a problem for the next guy that tries to hook up to it, or the shag driver that tries to pull it to a dock, really. So that's the first part. Then the trip planning, and then just execution, really, and communication. You know, things are going to happen. It's not a perfect world. We're going to have issues. But when those issues arise, let's make sure we're communicating to either your night fleet manager or your fleet manager, so that they can convey that to us and we can help set up a plan. You know, as I said, I think things are improving. It doesn't look like it's going to be, you know, a vertical improvement. It's going to be a struggle, and it's going to be gradual. You know, we've got a lot of bid packages out and a lot of, you know, things in the works. It's just, there's a lot of competition out there, and that's how we're winning, is just chewing through the competition. And we're not really seeing a great increase in demand. We're just seeing competition fall out of the marketplace, and that's where we're trying to gain the market share. So, you know, in addition to that service, I think protecting ourselves from these claims and separating, I feel like I should have maybe got up here before Jeff did, because he stole a lot of my thunder about checking the bills, making sure that the details are, you know, crossed on the bills. I know that this live loaded call issue is sometimes repetitive, but it's important that the bills actually be in your hand when you're making that call. Otherwise, you're just going to be nodding yes, 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 and the answers are going to be up on the dash. So make sure that you take the time to look at the bills. As Dennis said, Shelbyville, Indiana, and Shelbyville, Tennessee look a lot alike, pretty much any time of day, but especially at 2 a.m. Also, the temperatures. A lot of protein shippers this time of year want us to run on continuous run. We see that with some pork shippers and some beef shippers and poultry. So if you see that on continuous run, I think, you know, our SOP is going to be that we'd rather be safe than sorry. we used to think our fresh meat was better than anybody else's continuous run, but to prevent the issue at the receiver, I think we just want to switch that to continuous run and eliminate any risks there. I know that Daisy brand is a dairy company that does that. Seaboard comes to mind, and a few Cargill loads come to mind. So be mindful of those things. I can't really think of anything else that's new to ask. Does anybody have questions?
I consider myself pretty successful here at Prime. I've been here a while, and I have a pretty good, healthy relationship with my sales, Heather. But every time I go up there, I get weird looks like I'm a stranger. What's the percentage you think of drivers that actually go and meet their sales and build a relationship? Because that's a really important part of being successful and not just being a number. But I mean, you work there. How often do you see drivers? Because these new guys, you guys need to go meet your sales team. They're going to be working some days your fleet manager isn't, and they're going to know what you like for loads versus what you don't.
Right.
So I thought I'd ask that.
A lot of times I would get a fleet manager walk over with a newer driver, and like especially if he was domiciled in my area, like I handle Texas and Western Arkansas and Oklahoma and New Mexico. So if the driver, or Louisiana, so if the driver was say from Beaumont, Texas or Houston or something, they would come over and introduce them just so they would know this is the guy that's going to be planning you when you come out of the house, you know. So you want to have try to get a good relationship with that person. But, you know, as far as a percentage, I don't know. I know quite a few drivers, but obviously I don't know them all. There's a lot of trucks in the fleet now. So, but I would encourage you, if you have a question about something, or if you want to introduce yourself to the salesperson, either where you live or where you would prefer to run, please come up. Our doors are open, you know. Yes, sir.
Just a real quick question. When I ask dispatch where to drop my trailer, I'm going home, or where do I go get an empty trailer, or if I have a problem, my next dispatch, the message I get when I'm calling my fleet manager or texting him is, let me ask sales, let me ask sales, let me ask sales. So can you help us understand the dynamic between why my fleet manager has to always ask sales and he doesn't have autonomy to make a quick decision or something? What's the dynamic between the two departments?
Great question. Great question. Well, as far as the trailer situation goes, when you're going home or coming out, we really want to be involved. You know, let's just call it operations. So there's fleet manager side of operations, and there's the sales side of operations, or the planning side of operations. And, you know, the sales side wants to be involved in where you're pulling a trailer from and where you're adding one to, so that we can keep our pools balanced. There are a lot of shippers that only have room for X number of trailers. So when we bring X plus 2 in, we're becoming a nuisance to them instead of an advantage to them. Or there's trailers, or there's situations where they have to have a certain number of trailers on a certain day of the week. And honestly, your fleet manager has a lot of things to worry about, and balancing trailer pools really isn't one of them. That's why he's asking us to, you know, hey, where can we take this? Where would be the best place, the most useful place for it? And that's really the bottom line, is we want to put that trailer, that piece of equipment, it's an asset. We want to put it to work in the situation where it's going to, you know, give us the best return. And so that's why they ask. And hopefully we're going to give them a reasonable answer in a reasonable amount of time.
All right. Any other questions for Ryan?
I got a quick one here. Ryan, you were a former fleet manager, correct? So you came on the fleet manager side. Now, you read out there all the time on all the social media about how you cap these drivers, these operators. So when they start making too much money, you're out there and you're capping their earnings because you want to make sure that your favorite drivers or the company drivers get all of the good stuff and cap the other stuff. So talk about the planning process, because really you're looking at a software program that's making recommendations on what trucks go on, what freight has, and that's really all you're seeing is the recommendations. You're not sitting there, it's a company driver, it's a lease driver, he's getting near his completion. That really never factors into it.
Yeah, what's the deal with that?
Well, I think he did it. What we're seeing now is a recommendation from a system, and sometimes we take that recommendation and sometimes we need to go with an alternative plan. It kind of depends on the situation and circumstances. But where you're at in your lease or what your check was the week before or whatever, that really doesn't factor into it. Now, I will say that your fleet manager, if he knows that you've been hurting and he sends us a message, hey, can you look out for this guy? Then those things get factored into it. But there's no program out there or software that could potentially tell me where you're at on your lease or, how to take care of somebody else like that. We've heard that for several years and it's a myth. That's it.
All right. We're going to kick you out of here so we can get on to our next speaker. But thank you, Ryan, so much. Appreciate you coming on up. Ron Thompson, Premier Group. This is a resource here. I've been stranded at a courthouse needing some immediate questions, and it was Ron who was able to give me some information. So tell us what you got for us this morning.
Thanks. Morning. Man, that's a tough act to follow. I'm not going to lie. But so I've got a few slides. What I'm going to talk about today is kind of foundational, but it really can change the way you view the way the vehicle operates. And what I want to talk about is automatic transmissions versus AMT, or automated manual transmissions. So I honestly couldn't care less what you call them. I'm not that guy. But whenever I do trainings or I'm around a group of drivers who are talking about the transmissions, I always hear them referred to as automatics. The name doesn't matter, but what does matter is that they operate far differently from each other. So in general, when you come into wherever you're starting your run, you're in your own vehicle, it's probably an automatic. You're very used to driving an automatic. And over the years, engineers have worked very hard to make these AMTs feel like automatics to the driver. It makes it easier to drive. It's just a much better situation to be in than somebody who isn't really familiar with a true manual. They're trying to fight with the gears and all that. And it helps the safety systems as well, because now we have control of the clutch and everything else, so we can open it up if we need to, if there is a collision mitigation event. So the next slide, if you don't mind. The primary difference in an automatic like an Allison versus an AMT that you have in the vehicles you're driving today. This is a pretty good illustration, I think, of the way a torque converter works. Fluid coupling is really what we're talking about. And it's true that a transmission, an automatic transmission, actually uses fluid versus air, but it's exactly the same principle. So you can imagine, you can see the fan on the left-hand side is plugged in and turned on. The one on the right is not. If that fan on the left is blowing air across the other fan blades, it's going to get those spinning as well. You would never want to put your fingers in the fan on the left-hand side because you'd bleed, right? Because it's powered. And that's the same as it is on the engine side of a vehicle that has an automatic transmission. It has power all the time and potentially, damaging if you're not careful. On the right-hand side, if you needed to stop that blade, you probably could put your finger in there and just stop it because it's only being driven by air or fluid in an automatic transmission. Next slide, please. Far different. So for those of you who have never really messed with the internals of a manual transmission, whether it be automated or true manual, you have the flywheel on the left-hand side, and that's bolted straight to the engine. It's powered all the time, and when the engine is running, that is spinning. Then you have a clutch disc, which has friction material, much like you have on your brake pads or brake shoes. Then you have your pressure plate and throw-out bearing. The difference is, instead of being driven by fluid, this is friction. So as the pressure plate opens and closes, there's some springs in there and stuff that allow it to either compress up against the disc and into the flywheel, or pull it away so that it can just be spinning freely. You're always slipping in that transition between nothing moving except the engine and trying to get the vehicle actually rolling. Now, what engineers have done over time is they have designed these so that we will slip that clutch. We won't fully engage everything. so that it emulates what it feels like when you drive a true automatic. These are good things in general. However, a bad behavior, not through any fault of your own, but a bad behavior that is comes from this is drivers drive them like an automatic. Most of the time, that doesn't matter. A few weeks ago, I talked about lurching and bucking when you're trying to back up under a trailer, and this is really the principle I was trying to get across, but I didn't have very much time, and I don't have a lot of time today either. But in your car or your pickup, at very low speeds in stop and go traffic, you're controlling your speed by the brake pedal. Take your foot off, you roll forward a little bit, hit the brake again. Maybe you're halfway down on the brake, just trying to limit your speed. It seems perfectly natural to do the same thing with these. The difference is every time you're doing that, you're slipping the clutch. So those of you that drove a true manual all the time, what you would never do in stop and go traffic is sit there with your foot on the clutch pedal, just feathering it the whole time. You would almost, if you did it very much, you'd almost feel physical pain doing that because you know that you're just wearing that clutch disc like crazy, and the other components, but the disc is the primary wear component in that. So the takeaway from this, there are multiple things that this foundational information, I think, helps you better understand as I talk about more features of the transmission. But the primary one is in stop and go traffic, foot is on the brake, foot is off the brake. Don't rest your foot on the brake pedal. Again, if you grew up taught to drive a manual, I knew one driver example he gave, and it was a true example, is when he first started driving, he'd have his foot resting there on the clutch. His dad had a bunch of rings, smack him on the back side of the head. Get your foot off the clutch, boy. Well, there's not going to be anybody smacking you, but it really is the same thing with the brake pedal at low speeds. Once you're launched and up to speed, brake pedal's a brake pedal. No issues at all, but at very low speeds, don't rest your foot on the brake pedal. Go or don't go. If you need to go slower, go to a lower gear. You'll only go like 1.7 miles per hour if you're in first gear and the thing is just idling ahead. So, all right, I said that really fast, trying to get through it quickly. Any questions on this? We're here every Friday, not just me, but all the OEMs are here, and we're here for you. Please, if you have any questions about the vehicles, find us. That's why we're here. We want to be available to you. Thank you for your time this morning.
All right, let's give a round of applause. Thank you, Ron. Always good to have those OEMs here to answer your questions. All right, what do we got next, John?
All right, we're getting into the inspections from last week. So did you happen to go through those this week?
I did.
So it looks like we did pretty well. We had a total of 160, 115 of those were clean, so 72% were clean. So great job. Give yourselves a round of applause for that. You know, I was on vacation this whole week. Today's my only day back, and I just wanted to say we drove down to Texas and back. There's construction everywhere, but I'm happy to say that I did not see one prime truck out there that was distracted whenever I was driving, and we passed several of them. You could tell the other carriers that were out there, somebody was on their phone whenever you're coming up behind them, passing them. They're hitting the white line. They're going over towards the middle. You know, it's a scary situation. So kudos to all of you for being safe out there that we drove by this week.
You know, one thing we have to talk about, you know, is the speed. You know, prime trucks are most of our lease trucks are governed at 65 miles an hour. So we always say, well, if the speed limit is 70, how in the world can we, you know, be getting written up for speed? Well, if that truck is governed at 65, it still does, you know, 65 in speed zones that are lower than 70. So it's important, especially when you're on these state highways coming through these towns, you know, be cognizant that the speed limit is going to fluctuate. You know, it may be in the rural part, you know, 60 miles an hour, but as you get into the small town, it may drop down to 45 real quick. And if you miss that speed limit sign, next thing you know, that local guy or even that state highway patrolman are waiting for you to get past that sign. They're literally waiting at the sign. And, you know, now you see the sign, so now you're like, oh, I better slow down. Well, you're still doing, you know, 55 and a 35, and we get ridden out.
I'll be the first to admit that I got caught this week. I didn't get pulled over, but thankfully nobody was sitting there. I was coming up through McAllister and Oklahoma up to Big Cabin, where it's just nonstop lowering, raising the speed limit, and I missed a sign, but I was fortunate.
Well, we'll get you in PSC class before the end of the week, and we'll have Jamie Miller go with you. I think she's had an issue this week too. So, all right. So we're going to bring the next speaker up. Come on, Stephanie, from our safety department, our resident million-mile driver. She's probably connected to a few trailers herself, and you're short enough that you can get under there and see with no problem. But that's not what you're here to talk about today, right?
It's not.
All right. What do you got for us today?
Okay, so there is a new DOT mandate that is from the FMCSA. So with that, that means that as of June 23rd, we can no longer submit your DOT medical to the DMV. What will happen starting June 23rd is the doctor's office that you got your DOT medical at will submit it to the FMCSA, who will then submit it to your home state DMV by your CDL number, your date of birth, and your name. This means that if we mistype our CDL number, if we fat finger our year of date or year of born, then it will not be updated and your CDL could and then be suspended. Okay. Unfortunately, that means that there is absolutely nothing I can do to assist you. They will not let me email it, fax it. We will have to walk it in, meaning we do have to get a flight home to walk it into the home state. Okay. As of right now, there are 21 states out there that are doing this live right now. However, they are accepting emails still. As of June 23rd at 8 a.m., whatever time zone they're in, they will shut all of that off. Okay. There are 3 states that will not make this deadline. Oklahoma, Wyoming, and Louisiana have gotten back with me and said that they will not make deadline. This also means that if we get our DOTs from those states, they cannot submit it to the FMCSA for us because they don't have the software to do so right now, which means we would again have to walk it in only. Okay. If you do have any questions, you can always contact me in safety. You can send a message to me or something like that, and I'd be more than happy to call you or answer any questions. Are there questions right now? Let's get you on a mic. Hold on one sec.
I'm trying to really understand what you're saying. Like, okay, I get my DOT physical done here.
Mm-hmm.
So what you saying, like, to me, like taking it to my
So the states that are not accepting DOT medicals from the FM, okay.
Yeah.
So Louisiana, I can still email it until further notice.
Oh, okay. That's
okay.
good.
It's going to, Louisiana said it could be the end of this year, possibly
Yeah, because
spring of next year.
They slow behind and everything.
So yeah, Louisiana, I can still email it. Wyoming and Oklahoma, I can update. Oklahoma has a website. So if you have a CDL from Oklahoma, there is a website that I can send it to get updated. So those 3 states, if you do get a DOT and you are from those states, again, give me a shout and I'd be more than happy to get it updated for you. Okay. Anything else?
All right. I think that what.
So let's say we did our DOT, how the time frame, is it like instantaneous from the doctor to FMCSA
So
to the home state?
I'm going to use Command as an example because I talked to Darren and Christian and Sharon down there quite a bit. From my understanding, the way Command works anyways, is that if you were to get your DOT today, it would be uploaded to the FMCSA tonight at midnight because everything they enter in their system between their business hours would get automatically updated at midnight. And from there, it would take about 48 to 72 hours. Roughly, that's about the time frame that I'm getting from DMVs that it would be updated to their side. However, I will say Texas has over 950 DOT medicals that are not updated currently because either the CDLs don't match, the date of birth doesn't match, their name is wrong. They didn't put junior on the DOT, but they are a junior or a senior, whatever the case may be. Something is wrong on their medicals that is on their CDL. So they have 950 that are not updated at this time. Anything else?
All right.
I'll come and talk to you.
Good.
So I'm from Texas,
Uh-huh.
and I have submitted my own. I always go back in on their website and double check that they got it.
Uh-huh.
Can we still continue to do that?
As far as I'm aware at this time.
Okay.
If anything changes, I'll,
So best practice might be to make sure you always get your physical a little bit on the early side.
yes, I would
And
say,
then
I
go
still
back and make sure.
suggest, yes, I still suggest let's do 2 weeks to 4 weeks out before date of expiration, just so that we could make sure, because there are hiccups. Georgia started doing this in March and their system crashed. Missouri started doing this in April and their system crashed. So we're still working out the bugs.
Do all states have a way to do that? To go in and check?
No,
Okay. So
Not all states have their-
Know your state. Because you're
Correct.
saying that if command down there or wherever you get it makes a mistake,
correct.
we're the one held responsible.
Correct.
And gotta do
So
stuff.
we need to make sure that we have everything correct before we click submit. Okay,
Right. And so for the driver who's getting their DOT, a physical done in, I don't know, whatever state, needs to make sure they legibly write down all that information. So at
And-
least they do their part.
in command, they do everything, like if you've seen them before, they'll have all your information where you just click, yes, everything is correct, or the little box. Let's double check that everything is correct, because, I'm a female, maybe we got married and our last name changed, or whatever the case may be, or maybe we moved, if the address isn't correct on our from 2 years ago, or a year ago, 6 months ago, whatever the case may be. So we have to be a little aware and double check everything.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Stephanie. Appreciate you
problem.
being here. Alex and Laws, come on up. On his way up, I'll tell you this. The way to combat that is don't wait till the last minute, because inevitably, if you do, there's be an issue. Your blood pressure's high that day. Your address is not wrong, or the provider put something in wrong. You don't want to get yourself into a situation where we have to shut you down because your CDL has been downgraded because you haven't submitted medical information. Give the state, give us some time. We do run a service. Come on up. We do run a service that we get exceptions if there is a downgrade to your CDL. So, we'll know essentially right away if there's a problem. What we don't want to be is, if it expires on June 6th, your appointment's on June 6th. No, that's when we run into issues. If your expires on June 6th, but you were here on May 6th, and there's an issue, that gives us a good chunk of time to get whatever problem taken care of, whether it's at the state level, whether it's at the provider level, or whether it's even here at Prime. So, hey, let's talk about logs for a second. We're past the 9 o'clock hour, but hey, what the heck? It's raining outside. We can get some more time. So this is Alex from our log department. Let's talk about hours of service.
Thank you. I'm just going to go over some of the inspections quickly here. We did have an over 70% pass rate, which is great. So we just want to get the last few that we didn't pass on and see what those issues were. So most recently, we started seeing problems in the log department on the received inspections that had failures for not having the instruction sheets, not having malfunction sheets. Those two documents are part of those inspections. So when they ask you for your logbook, they can also ask you for those manuals and those instruction sheets. And then the next thing would have been that we have had drivers that have still not had the ability to send logs over. I actually spoke with one of those drivers. They called in as soon as an inspection happened, and we were able to get that resolved. So that part was great. And then the last thing on the inspections that we've seen more frequently are going to be just not having the paper logbook. The way that it was worded indicated that we maybe had a paper logbook on the truck, but the paper logbook did not have enough blank sheets. So if you've ever been on paper or you still have a logbook in the truck, just verify. You need to have 8 days of blank sheets on that truck for that to be compliant. You just can't have the book on it. You have to have an actual number of blank sheets, which is 8, to be compliant. As for the instruction and malfunction sheet, some of that is just not having the information, which is what we're going to share today. The instruction and malfunction sheets are located on the Geo tab. So even if for some reason you have a different, paper logbook, you got it online, you got it at a truck stop. I know some people prefer to have their own logbooks. They have more pages. that's fine. The instruction and malfunction sheets are located on the ELD info, one of the first tabs on the dashboard. So instruction malfunction sheets, ELD info, that way you don't get tripped up when they ask for that. Paper logs, do some due diligence on that, verify you have at least 8 days free. And then the last thing is sending logs over. The driver that had called in after the inspection was done had a question about whether or not the officer provides the PIN. So when you go into your Geotab application and you open the roadside check to send your logs over, it will ask for a PIN. That is not something that a DOT officer provides. That's something that you can put in if you need to, and that locks it into the last 8 days, so they can't go touching other parts of the tablet. Now, obviously, they can still ask for it. Logs recommends not putting a PIN inside of that, because if we forget, or we're done with the inspection and there's an issue with it, we have to contact IT, or we have to find a way to get around that, and that will take time. So you can do no PIN, and then you write on the page to send your logs over. At that point, instructions are pretty clear. It'll be ELD info or comments. So again, roadside check, the PIN is not a requirement. They don't provide it to us. That's something we can put in, but we do not have to. Let's see. I think that was pretty much it. I just wanted to go over what the more common ones that we've seen happen throughout the past couple of weeks. Does anyone have any questions about the inspections or something that they've seen while they're on the road, or just anything for logs in general?
So I'm just kind of curious, the PC, as far as my fleet is concerned, was taken off about 3 weeks ago. But I know other drivers that still have PC capability to where they can turn it on and off themselves. When is everybody going to be on that program?
I'll answer that soon.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for a specific date and time, I don't have one right now, but it'll be soon. Those PC requirements will be fleet-wide soon. So, any more questions for Alex? All right, Alex, appreciate you coming over. Hopefully you didn't walk over here. I see it's a good little rain going on, which reminds me of the next thing. 4 log associates are going to be moving from the plaza, inbound and outbound, here in Springfield, Missouri. They're moving over here to the Z building. So they'll be sitting right there with your SPU. So your fleet managers, your road assist associate, your payroll associate will now include a log associate in 4 of those situations, with the ultimate goal is to have them all over here at some point. So like John said earlier, put a face with the name, create those relationships, we'll be good to go. So Jamie told me we're going to get kicked off of live here in just a few minutes. So I want to make sure we, folks that are listening in live and watching get a chance to hear from Daryl. So I'm going to pull him up here. But in the meantime, if you have any technology questions, experts here on the right, Richard Brienne can help you out. Before you talk, I'm going to ask that anybody that served, Daryl's got on red, John's got on red, I've got mine covered up. Anybody that served this country in uniform, if you defended our freedom at any one of our locations, if you would stand for just a minute and give us the opportunity to honor you. Thank you so much for your service. Great meeting. We went a little bit long today, but the information is good. We've got the president of Prime Incorporated, Mr. Daryl Hopkins. Good morning, Daryl.
We went really late, so I'm going to go quick. Heard something recently I thought was kind of funny. They said, there's 2 things in transportation that we don't like. 1, we don't like the way things are. 2, we don't like change. It's very true. So here's the deal. Here's what doesn't change. In this business, you have to pay attention to details. Whether it's looking at the bill of lading very closely to get those temperatures, whether it's looking at your 5th wheel to make sure that thing is latched on there tight, or whether it's driving down the road and paying attention. Because the consequences of not paying attention to any of those things is significant. It's a huge cost no matter which one of anything we touch, it's expensive. And so we have to be focused and pay attention all the time. It's one of the challenges of this profession. I just encourage all of you, though, pay attention, be focused. If you're tired or if something's distracting you, just stop, get off the road. because it's not worth it in the end. We care about you and your safety. So with that, I just say God bless and thank you all very, very much for what you do.